Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about something that is really important to me, something that is dear to my heart, and it is to do with relationship trauma and how it can affect us, specifically when we are cheated on. So there's all types of relationship trauma, whether it's mental or physical, but I wanted to talk today specifically about cheating. And I wanted to talk about this because this is probably one of the most common patterns in my relationships that I noticed that I never understood and really wanted to be able to overcome. And it was something that I avoided for a really long time. And I just wanted to kind of act like, it didn't happen, or I guess like when it would happen, I would just kind of push it to the side and just be like, well, they're crappy people and I didn't deserve that. I'm a victim here, and I would just move on. I would never analyze it or look at it any deeper than that. And so it wasn't until my very last relationship and this happened to me, instead of being angry, I felt a lot of compassion for them. I was just like, before, usually I would take it very personally. I would have taken it very personally. I would have felt like, well, what did I do wrong? How am I not enough in this situation? Why did you cheat on me? And what was I not bringing to the table? And I would really have put in a lot of pressure on myself and really felt like I did something wrong. But when it happened this time, I didn't feel that way. And I was very thankful. I was very thankful that this time was different. I didn't get angry at myself. I didn't start thinking about, well, what did I do wrong? How did I not give enough in this relationship? I realized, it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with the person that I was with. They didn't have enough love for themselves. And it wasn't until after this relationship, after this time, it like came differently. So after that time, I had no anger. I still love them and I still care for them. And I was just like, it's okay. I understand this. This isn't okay for us. Like, we're not going to maintain this relationship because of this, but it's okay. I'm not angry with you and I understand you. Like, I saw them on a whole nother level. So it was a really powerful awakening, and I'm really grateful for the experience, not only for me, but I'm hoping that it gave them a chance to see their own lack of self-love, their own lack of self-care. I'm hoping that it gives them the chance to heal and overcome this just as much as it has helped me. So I realized, after that relationship ended, it took me a while to even address it. Like, I was kind of doing my old default pattern thing where I was like, it happened. It's not my fault. I'm a victim. And I didn't want to analyze it. I didn't want to think about it. And so it wasn't until maybe a month or so after we had separated that I started thinking about it. And I was just like, I started asking myself, like, why did I get cheated on again? Like, why am I cheated on? Why do I attract people into my life that cheat on me? And this time I came with the awareness of, we attract people into our lives that are doing the same things that we do. And I was so confused and perplexed by this because I was like, I don't cheat on my partners. I'm faithful. I'm committed. I do all of these things. I'm good. They're bad. And so I was just like, how does it make sense that I'm attracting people that cheat on me when I don't cheat? It was a little simple. It was a little bit more simple when I started to be really, really honest. And I started to look at it like, what am I doing? What are the behaviors that I'm doing that are actually not in alignment with the type of person I want to be with? Because I'm not attracting to the people that I want to be with, the kind of relationship that I want in my life, because there's something that I'm doing. So how can I analyze myself? How can I analyze my own behaviors? What am I doing? And when I started asking these questions, what came up intuitively for me was I started to realize that I've always wanted attention. I've always felt like I needed attention. I've always really liked attention. And now there's nothing wrong with that. So if this is you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you wanting or feeling like you need attention. That is completely okay. The problem was for me was because of this, I had a attention seeking behavior. So this attention seeking behavior that I had, what it was causing for me, it was all mental. I never acted on it, and especially when I was in a committed relationship, I never acted on it or anything like that. So like, for example, if I was in a committed relationship, but somebody else outside of my relationship hit on me, like at the gas station, or another friend's boyfriend, or another whatever, it doesn't matter. Anybody, if anybody gave me any slight inkling of an attention or like that they were into me, I could feel it. I loved it. Even though I wasn't verbally or physically acting on it, mentally, I loved it. I could feel like the energy that they were giving me, or that I was assuming that they were giving me. And I could tell that my body language would shift. So I wasn't saying or doing anything to provoke it, but I could tell my energy and my body language, like I was into it. I was full on playing it out. And I started to question that behavior. I started to question like that action. Like, would I be okay if I knew that my partner was mentally doing that? Like mentally, like attracting this energy to them, like really being into the fact that their friend's girlfriend or their friend's boyfriend or their somebody they passed at the gas station, just anyone outside of our relationship, outside of our committed relationship that I didn't knowingly invite into the relationship was giving them attention. Would I be okay with that? Whether they're physically acting on it, verbally acting on it, or mentally acting on it. Would I be okay with either? No. The answer was absolutely not. So why did I think it was okay for me to mentally act on this behavior, on this energy that I was receiving? And the answer what I figured out was I was ignoring this part of me, this attention seeking part of me. I didn't want to admit that I had it. I would not have ever told my partners that that's what I was doing. Like, I would just immediately be like, well, I didn't flirt back. Even though I didn't physically flirt back, like I didn't physically touch them or do anything, I didn't verbally flirt back, I was mentally flirting back. And that is enough. That's your intention. Your intention is very powerful. So my intention was to continue to get their energy, to continue to get this feeling. So I was putting myself out there, like in body language, mentally, through intention, but I was justified in doing it because I wasn't verbally saying anything. I wasn't verbally flirting with them, or I wasn't physically flirting with them. And if it got to that point, I would shut it down because that would be crossing my moral bounds. And then I would have to tell the truth. Then I would have to go tell my partner I cheated on you or I did something wrong. But as long as it was only mental, as long as it was only intentional, like through my intentions, unintentionally, like this was all subconscious. I didn't realize that I was doing it until later, if that makes sense. Like sometimes we are doing things unintentionally. We are doing things that we created in our lives to get the feelings that we want, but we are not aware that we are doing it. So it was later, it was when I started to analyze my behavior, when I started to analyze the situation, that's when I became aware of what I was doing. And because we will become aware, but only if we set the intention to figure out what's going on. If we have no intention of figuring out what we're doing in our lives, what's going on with us, we will fly by and nothing will be in our presence. Nothing will be in our consciousness. because we're not intending to see what we're doing. We are intending to not see it, so that's exactly what we will get. So we will continue to act unintentionally and continue to attract people and not understand why we're attracting people that are cheating on us, but we're freaking cheating on them unintentionally, or maybe even unaware. Like, we're subconsciously cheating on them and we don't even realize that we're cheating on them. Like, this was mine. This was me. You may relate to this, but this is my story. This is me. This is what I was doing. And it wasn't until I realized it. So I was like, okay, so how can I fix this? Because I don't want to be cheated on. I don't want to be physically cheated on. I don't want to have verbal cheating. I don't want to have mental cheating. I don't want any of that. So how can I fix myself? Or how can I work on myself and become the person that I want to be in a relationship with? Because that's how it works. You attract who you are, really. Like, your friends they're you in a way. Like, we're all our own special entity, but the people we attract into our lives, they're just a mirror of us. They have the same problems, the same struggles. That's why we relate to them. That's why we connect to them. So we attract romantic partners that have the same issues. So if I am becoming the person that I want to be, and I am working on me and doing the things that I want to be doing for myself, then I will attract the person that is more self-aware, more working on themselves, more doing the things that they need to be doing for themselves, becoming the person that they want to be, and attracting the people they want to attract. So that's where I'm at. So, like, I'm just continuously working on myself, and I'm in no hurry to be attracting somebody just because I'm still working on me. I'm still figuring out me. I can't meet somebody right now in the middle of this confusion of myself. I'm still unwinding and healing all of these things from my past relationships. But this was the hugest one, the cheating. And so I think that there's a lot to do with, like, codependency and stuff like that, which I've also been working on. I had a problem with being alone, but that's a topic for another day. So today I wanted to talk about the attention seeking, because I think that this goes with the having trouble being alone, the codependency. So it's not the same, but it's like it's on the same spectrum, same level, in my opinion. So I started to ask myself, like, why do I have this attention seeking issue? Like, why am I acting out? And so at first I started to do the wrong thing. I started to be like, well, I don't want to be an attention seeker. I started to try to shame it. I started to try to shove it down. And I was like, okay, I think that this is the problem. I think that, and you know what's so funny? As I'm recording this right now, I think I just had a memory, a flashback of whenever I was a child. My mom, she used to, like, I love my mom. No offense to my mom. My mom's great. But she used to, like, when I was young, I would always have a problem. Like, I'd go to my friend's house and I would not want to leave. I would have such, like, attachment issues to my friends and, like, the people that I would spend time with. I never wanted to leave. Like, I just loved them so much. And my mom would always criticize that. She was like, God, like, what is your problem? You know, and maybe she didn't say it like that, but that's just how I took it. And that, like, I think I told myself, I think I decided about myself when I was a child that I have a problem and I'm attached to people. So I think that this is why I would like instinctively, like, when I would meet friends or when I would meet potential partners, the first words out of my mouth was, I'm very attached, and if you don't want to spend all of your time with me, don't even try. And that's exactly what I would do. Like, and that's not good. Like, I don't want to be that way, you know? So, like, but that's where I was. So this attention seeking behavior, what I realized is I am trying to ignore it. I'm trying to hate it. I'm trying to act like it doesn't exist. And when we do that with parts of ourselves, like attention-seeking behavior, for example, or sadness or anger, when we do that, like, these are parts of us. These aren't who we are. These are just parts of us. When we take parts of ourselves that we don't really like, or that somebody criticized when we were little or whatever, we try to shove them down. We try to act like they don't exist. And what happens is this part of us feels ignored. This part of us feels unheard, unseen, and uncared about. And if you think of it, if you think of each of these parts like a child, like a young child, that child, if you ignore a young child or if you are not listening to a young child, what does it do? It throws a tantrum and it will be loud as fuck until you listen to it, until you hear it, until you take care of it. That's what's happening with these parts of ourselves. When we are doing things unintentionally or when they're happening subconsciously and we don't realize it, when we're acting out of anger, when we're acting out of fear, when we're acting out of sadness, or in my case, in this story, when we're acting out of attention seeking. We need attention, but we think that that's wrong. We think that it's wrong to have attention. So we've already labeled ourselves as this is how I am. So if you don't want to be that, then we're not going to work. And so you've accepted it, but you're just kind of putting fire on the flame. You're not really addressing the true problem. You just want to put a Band-Aid on it. That was me. I just wanted to put a Band-Aid on it. I was like, I have a problem. I struggle with this. And if you can't accept this, if you can't be what I need you to be, then we won't work. That's psycho for me. I'm talking about myself, and I hear myself talking about myself, and I'm like, that is literally psychotic of me to want to do that. Or to expect somebody else to be able to give the attention that I needed to myself. And, I'm saying this because no one is going to be able to read your mind. No one is going to be able to give you attention like that. Nobody is going to be able to just be with you 24/7. They can try, and they can try and try and try, and it might work for a while, but eventually it's not going to sustain. And somebody's going to get burnt out. Somebody's going to get resentful. And that is a very codependent thing. And that was where I struggled the most. I was very, very, very codependent. And I just was like, this is how I am and I'm not going to change. And oh God, I'm cringing a little bit about my past, but it's okay because I'm seeing things from a whole new light. I'm seeing things from a whole new level. And I'm even just this is really the first time that I've talked about this with other people. I've told people about my attention-seeking behavior and how I transformed it. But this is the first time I've just been kind of explaining, riffing about it, just on my own. And I'm just seeing things in a whole nother level. So this is pretty cool. You guys are experiencing things with me. I like that. So what I did to transform it was I actually created a meditation, and I wrote it down in my journal. This is something that I haven't figured out how to make a meditation to do for other people, because basically it's very unique to you and your own specific qualities. So basically what I did was I created this meditation and I listed the qualities about myself or the parts of myself that would bother me. So for example, it was attention-seeking behavior. Let me pull up my journal and I will try to give a couple more. Okay, so I had some of the problems that I did that I felt like were problems that I didn't want to accept about myself in a way that was giving it attention. How I shined light on my attention-seeking behavior, how I started to give all of these parts of myself that I was shunning and shaming attention. Finally, I gave them the attention that they needed, and now they're just a part of me. They're not in control of me. And that's what's happening. When they're throwing tantrums, they're in control of us. And that's why they end up doing things unintentionally. That's why we start having these behaviors that we don't really understand why we're doing it. It's because we're doing things unintentionally and automatically. And it's because these parts of ourselves they're not being given the attention that they need. They're not being recognized. They're not being accepted. So they're throwing tantrums and they're in control. They're subconsciously in control, and they will be the impulse reaction. But the more that we bring awareness to these parts of us, the more we get to decide if that's how we want to act, if that's how we want to be, if that's how we want to think. So how I learned to bring more awareness to these parts of myself is I created this meditation. It just kind of came to me. I was like, how can I do this? And so what I did was basically I saw these parts of myself that were acting like children. So like my blaming, I would blame other people. I was very much a victim in my life. Like, so I would blame everything on everybody else. And so I was a huge victim. So I would blame others. I would seek attention, and I felt like I needed to be in control of everything. So I felt very controlling. And another thing, I would give way too many personal details. Like I would feel like I just trusted way too easily. I could just give everyone my information, and that's okay. And so like these were things that were just impulsively happening in my life. And I realized it's because I wasn't giving these parts of myself any attention. I was shunning them, I was shaming them, and I was not accepting them or acknowledging them. So how I learned to accept and acknowledge them is I would lay down and I would imagine that I had a suit of armor on. And each part of the suit of armor, so like my helmet, my arms, my chest plate, my legs, I would imagine that each part was one of these things. So like blaming, seeking attention, being in control. I would just put like each part of my suit had one of these attributes. So like my helmet was like being in control. And so I would start to just think about that. Like, why do I like being in control? I would just start to acknowledge it. I would start to become aware of it. And just one by one, I did that for each. And as I would acknowledge it, I would imagine the helmet phasing into my body. And my head would turn into bright light gold. So I was integrating, I was saying, you no longer have to protect me. You don't have to act out. You don't have to be impulsive. You can just be a part of me, be a part of who I am. And so that I can have you when I need you. And that way we're not hurting each other and we can work together. So I would ask these parts of me, this attention seeking, this being in control, this blaming others, to integrate into my body. And by the end of the meditation, I was 100% golden light. And that golden light, I would imagine that it was just healing universe light energy. So I'm explaining this meditation to you because I'm also explaining it to you because this is why I can't just record this meditation, because I would need to know what the things you want to integrate are to guide you through this meditation. So if you're interested, I'm actually, that's something that I want to be offering, is to do a live session meditations. I want to be offering that as a service. So 100% free, complimentary. I am offering live sessions where we talk about meditation a little bit. I guide you through a meditation, and we can that way you can understand meditation. You can do it for yourself. You can maybe even just go be more comfortable with doing more guided meditations on YouTube. Because I think everyone should know how to meditate. I think it should be just a fundamental part of our lives, because it has helped me heal so much. It has helped me understand myself. It has helped me accept myself and help me become who I am meant to be. And that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. When we integrate these things, who we want to be, when we become who we want to be, what we're really doing is we're becoming who we already are. But what that means is we're becoming who we are, and we're accepting that person that we already are. We're accepting their imperfections. We're accepting the good, what we consider to be the good and the bad about the person that we already are. We are just accepting it, and we're becoming whole. So that's I just love that I'm explaining this, because I'm trying to, whatever. Anyways, I'm going to get off subject here. So this is just about my program that I'm creating, and my program is called Becoming Whole Again, Total Transformation, which I am still testing out. So I've had so much success with it so far. I'm still looking for 4 to 5 more people. If you want to join, we can either You can comment if you're wanting to do the guided meditation, the live session guided meditation, comment meditation, or if you want to learn more about my Becoming Whole Again Total Transformation, where we work one-on-one together about what's going on with any trauma that you may be experiencing. It's not about your trauma. So it's not about, like, you don't have to talk about your trauma. You don't have to tell me about your life experiences, because what we do is you heal your trauma without having to relive it. So all of these things that I was talking about today, like my attention-seeking behavior, my blaming, my jumping into relationships too quickly, wanting to be in control, anything like that, those are all how was I impacted by trauma? How did the trauma affect me in my life? How do I behave? What do I do? Like, what are my emotional triggers? What are my habits? These are the things that were created because of the trauma that I experienced in my life. And it's not even intense trauma. Like, I could be potentially traumatized by my mom saying that, you know, what's wrong with you? Why do you not want to leave your friend's house? Like, why are you need so much attention, this, that, and the other thing. That wasn't very traumatic, but it was painful for me to suppress that part of myself. And so that is a form of trauma. Trauma sounds big, trauma sounds scary, and because it can definitely be big, it can definitely be scary, but it doesn't have to be big. We've all experienced pain and trauma, whether we realize it or not, and we're all affected by it differently. And all of these things were affected subconsciously, so then we start to do things unintentionally. Everything, all the way that we behave, that we're like, we don't understand, and we're attracting people into our lives, like I said, friendships or partners that are treating us a certain way. It's because of the way we behave or the way that we treat ourselves unintentionally that we're not aware of. And that's why we're so confused as to why we're attracting these people to us, because we're so unaware of how we're actually treating ourselves or the kind of behaviors that we actually do. So my program is all about helping you bring more, you'll become more self-aware, you'll have more energy, more motivation, more confidence. You'll be able to love yourself more. You'll be able to be more self-aware. And like I said, you'll be able to accept the most beautiful, the most important thing about becoming whole and becoming who you really want to be is just being who you already are, but being both the things that you consider to be bad and the things that you consider to be good about yourself, loving and accepting them together. Imagine it like the yin and the yang. We are all yin and yang. We're all masculine and feminine, and we all have demons and angels. If we exercise our demons, our angels will leave too. We have to have both. We have to love, we have to know, we have to be aware, we have to accept both. And that's what my program's all about. So I'm just super passionate about it, and I would absolutely love, so if you want information, you can reach me at any of the links. You can follow me on social media. You can email me directly. You can book a session directly. You don't even have to talk to me. You can book sessions for guided meditation, and you can book sessions for the Becoming Whole Again Total Transformation under Feel Safe After Trauma. All of those links are below, or you can just simply comment on this video and I'll reply to you and we can talk, get to know each other. YouTube's a little bit harder to be getting to know each other, so if you want to add me on social media, we can connect, we can build a relationship, whatever you want to do to feel comfortable. I'm here for you, and I just wanted you guys to know that. I wanted to talk about this story, and I'm just super, super excited to be I'm going to be talking more about stuff like this. I had to overcome some of my own some of my own fears about being vulnerable. Like, I was very scared to be vulnerable. I was afraid that I was going to say something wrong. But I've been really working on that and overcoming, so I can just show up authentic and be raw with you guys, because that's what I really wanted. That's the most thing that I wanted out of all when I started all of this work, was to just be able to show up authentically, be vulnerable, be raw, and talk about the things that no one's freaking talking about. No one is telling us these things. Not in school, not our parents. They don't know. And I learned, I understand, and I'm here. I want to talk about it. I want to talk to other people that know. I want to talk to other people that are curious. I'm here for you. So I can't wait to share more with you guys about trauma and the truth behind it, just the raw, vulnerable truth. I want to just be honest here, and let's just be real about it. And let's just get to know each other. Let's get to know who we are, for who we are, the good, the bad, the ugly, the perfect, the imperfect, the light, the dark. Let's just bring it all together so we can become whole and be who we were truly meant to be. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next week. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.